Hey guys, it's JP, and today I'm bringing you a game analysis between Alexander Alekhine and Fricis Apšenieks. However you say Fricis's last name. So this game was played in 1939 in Buenos Aires, and the motif we're going to see today is a French defense played by Alekhine, and it's an exchange French. So this is a very slow positional game, and games like this are so difficult to stay focused because they're so positionally intense. It's totally the opposite of like a crazy Sicilian game where it's very tactical and sharp. This is just very slow, incremental. Nobody has a big advantage for a very long time. Chess. So let's see. Right up until here, this is very standard French stuff, and Alekhine on the black pieces wants to get a queen trade going, just get those queens off the board and just play very slow and positionally. So white tries to kick the queen away and he attacks, but this trade ends up happening. So white already can't castle, and now we are just progressing. Black has a queenside castle. His minor pieces are all developed here. None of his pawns have been moved so far, but this is all French theory stuff. You see, white has a bit of space, and but he is behind in development. But it's pretty much dead even here. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. We just got a little bit of trading going on. Black's finally starting to get some space. We're looking for move 19 right here. So Alekhine's idea up until this point was keeping his knight on e4 as long as he could and trying to keep control of this e5 square. Just preventing white from really doing anything. Even though when you have space, you want to use that space with activity for your pieces, and black is trying to just not let white do anything successfully, mind you. But after a couple more moves, we get this exchange stuff here. And despite black trying to get some stuff going, it's just pretty much dead even. So we have a couple more just very even things going on here. We're gonna go up to move 36. White finally allows black some activity. So, slow positional play. This right here. So this exchange, white's knight and black's bishop getting traded off. You could see that black has this opportunity to invade with his rook on the queen side. And these pawns are looking juicy for the taking. So we have this double attack set up here. We do end up winning this pawn, and now there's lots of space. White's still doing what he can to prevent black from coming in and sort of taking pawns. This is a game of pawn advantage. One side is just looking to queen their pawn, and the game's over. But it's a grueling process to get to that point. And black is starting to do well here. He's the first one to invade. And let's see, we're going to fast forward towards e6. Now, there's no other pawns defending this pawn, so black wants to concentrate as much of his attention trying to capture this, trying to become one pawn ahead. and we see that right here. This is sort of the important moment where Black's king is a little bit more advanced, and it is threatening this unguarded knight. You can't lose the knight for nothing. You have to move it away. This knight was guarding this pawn, and now that it's not, we give a check, and we have two attackers on this pawn. Black even interposes the capture over here. White even makes an inaccuracy, capturing the wrong pawn. The king can't capture this knight right here. And we pick up that pawn. We are one pawn ahead, finally. Or Alekhine is a pawn ahead. And now it's rook and knight versus rook and knight. But, 3 pawns to 2, we have a little bit extra to work with. And Black just keeping that momentum. We now have not a whole lot of ways to stop this pawn from queening. Very small advantage, but by move, once you're past like the 30 move mark, this is move 55. There's not a lot you could do when you're a pawn down. So Black even makes an inaccuracy, but still not able to compensate. White grabs this pawn, but Black just grabs this pawn. And now White only has this one pawn left, one chance to make a queen, where Black has 2. So we want to get our king to the center. We want to centralize our knight, and we want to queen one of these pawns. And it's just a slow, grueling process. You could see White has to stop this pawn, and by, he only has 3 pieces. He's distancing his king from his pawn. There's no way this is going to queen. And now we have this pawn is guarded. This can't advance. And the king is just so good in the late game. In positions like this, where it's like rook and king versus rook and king, the person who uses their king better is going to win. I mean, unless there's like a 3 pawn difference or something. And White's in Zugzwang right here. He has to. The best move he has is to retreat his king. And we're pushing, and he's got to stay here. He's like tied to the 2nd rank, so far away from his pawn. And we're just looking. White can't see. This is it. Like, this rook is doing nothing right now, and this pawn is blocked. And even though White finds the best move to give this check, we just take. And now it's 2 pawns to nothing. White's totally lost. White has no chance here. It could still take a while, but because the advantage is so small, but it's inevitable. There's only so many things you could do. So now Black's just bringing his king down. And White's forced to move away here, and now we're just advancing this pawn more, and White can't stop both of them. And so White resigns here. Games like this can be pretty common when imbalances are not created. So, saying one side has bishops, the other side has knights is probably the most common imbalance. Or opposite side castling, But But in these positions where it's just dead, even, dead, even, dead, even, you go back to the principles and endgame principles, centralizing your king at the correct time, because if you centralize your king too early, when there's too many pieces on the board, you're just going to get checkmated. But centralizing your king and advancing your passed pawns. So the way Alekhine was able to achieve this advantage was he used his rook to invade White's camp at the proper moment, create some sort of imbalance, and eventually leverage that imbalance against a pawn that he made undefendable. And with that single pawn lead, he carried that all the way to the end, eventually threatening an unstoppable queen promotion where it would be queen and rook versus king and rook, and White simply lost. So, thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video.